Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're jumping right into a pretty shocking reality about your own biology. Now, most of us just kind of assume that as long as we're breathing, our lungs are doing exactly what they're supposed to do. But here's the thing. You might actually be inadvertently suffocating your own cells from the bottom up, literally just by sitting at your desk right now. If you've been feeling chronically run down lately, well, it's probably not just in your head. It might actually be due to a severely outdated biological habit. So let's break down exactly why this is happening, and more importantly, let's explore a very specific protocol to fix it.
Let's kick things off with a number that honestly should grab your attention right away. 30%. Startingly, if you're a typical sedentary worker, meaning, you spend most of your day hunched over a desk or commuting in a car, you are likely only using a mere 30% of your actual lung capacity at this very second. Just think about that for a moment. You're out there functioning, thinking, and trying to power your entire body on barely a third of your available respiratory engine. Actually, it's no wonder at all that you might be feeling constantly fatigued or stressed out.
And mathematically, of course, that leaves a massive 70% of your lung volume entirely unused. But wait, this isn't just harmless, empty space sitting there waiting patiently for you to finally go for a jog. Because of our chronic shallow breathing, this huge 70% zone turns into a dangerous, stagnant pool for waste gases. You see, you aren't just missing out on fresh oxygen here, you are literally hoarding toxic waste deep inside your chest.
In the medical community, we actually call this the dead air crisis. When air just sits down there in the lower lobes of your lungs for hours or sometimes even days without being fully cycled out, it creates a literal immune crisis. The stress of all this stagnant air constantly weakens your natural respiratory barriers. It essentially leaves the back door of your immune system completely wide open and vulnerable to invaders. So you aren't just tired, your cells are actively starved of oxygen and constantly bathed in trapped CO2.
Now, when we look at this on a cellular level, the difference is absolutely stark. As you can see right here, shallow thoracic chest breathing traps that stale, recycled air right in the dead space. And that leads directly to a stressed out, oxygen-starved cell that produces way less energy. But on the flip side, deep, diaphragmatic breathing fully oxygenates your cells and super efficiently removes that toxic CO2 buildup. That means optimal ATP energy production and vastly improved focus for you. Really, it's the difference between trying to run your car on absolute fumes versus pumping it full of high-octane fuel.
I want you to start thinking of your lungs not just as two simple balloons, but as high-performance biological filters. And just like any filter, they absolutely require consistent pressure and flow to actually work correctly. But with prolonged sitting, your breathing just stays totally trapped up high in the upper conducting airways, what we call the anatomical dead space. You literally just never reach the bottom of the tank, that crucial lower alveolar zone to actually clear it out. The vital gas exchange just never happens where it matters the most.
Which brings us to our next major point. Stop doing extreme cardio. So how exactly do we fix all this stagnation? Well, most people assume the answer is to just go out and sprint until you puke doing extreme cardio. Let's bust that myth right now. Extreme cardio actually spikes chronic cortisol, increases oxidative stress, and drives up systemic inflammation across the board. It's super high impact and, honestly, usually unsustainable for most of us. The actual solution? Brisk walking. It acts as kind of the stealth bomber of fitness. It optimizes mitochondrial function without all that damaging physiological stress. It lowers your inflammation, promotes cellular repair, and most importantly, it consistently clears out that dead air without breaking your body down in the process. And that leads us directly into what we call the Aerobic Catalyst. Now, this protocol isn't just about casually strolling through the park on a Sunday. No, it is specifically designed to trigger 3 highly targeted biological shifts. First, we need to physically flush toxins and expel those heavily settled waste gases straight out of the bottom of your lungs. Second, we boost your overall oxygenation by actively pumping rich, fresh blood through your entire system. And third, we electrically signal your body to fortify and strengthen those vital immune barriers we talked about earlier. Utilizing these really specific rhythmic walking mechanics essentially acts like a giant pressure wash for your entire circulatory and respiratory system. By just elevating your heart rate moderately and optimizing your natural lymphatic function, you are actively carrying fresh oxygen down to your deepest tissues, flushing out those waste products, and lowering your chronic inflammation levels. Honestly, it's a complete systemic reset, and it even sets your body up perfectly for healthy, deeply restorative sleep later that night. So, let's break down exactly how to do this with the Fit Formula blueprint. To actually execute this pressure wash and finally reclaim that lost 70% lung capacity, we rely on a highly specific yet totally accessible blueprint. It's called the Fit Formula. F stands for frequency, You need to do this every single day to consistently signal those cells and maintain that vital flow. I stands for intensity. Now this needs to be a brisk walk. We're talking right around 2 to 3 miles per hour to literally force your diaphragm to step up and work harder. And T? T stands for time, 30 minutes. That 30-minute mark is the absolute magic threshold where your body finally transitions out of that stagnant sedentary state and completely fires up its active aerobic engine.
Now, the absolute most crucial point here, especially when we're talking about that intensity requirement, is what we call the talk test. During your 30-minute brisk walk, you should be moving at a pace where you are physically able to talk, sure, but you really shouldn't want to. If you're just out there casually singing a song or having a completely effortless conversation while you're walking, well, you simply aren't moving fast enough to flush out those trap toxins. You've got to push that diaphragm.
So, pulling this all together, functional breathing, incremental exercise, and these targeted techniques. This simple, free formula systematically increases your functional lung volume from that suffocating 30% all the way back up to a fully optimized 100% over time. It's really all about strengthening those respiratory muscles and maximizing your vital capacity. Ultimately, it moves you out of that red danger zone of stagnation and safely back into optimal, vibrant health.
Well, you officially have the biological manual now, along with the exact fit formula blueprint. Reclaiming your lost lung capacity is absolutely 100% within your control. So the final question you have to ask yourself the next time you sit down at that desk for hours on end is simply this. Are you willing to just sit there and let the rust take over, letting your cells suffocate? Or are you finally ready to take a deep breath and start walking?